So now I'm going to talk about Scavengers. Now, what is Scavengers? Scavengers is the pilot short film for the show Scavengers Reign, which I've been a huge fan of. But Scavengers was a short that aired on Adult Swim or on Toonami in the Adult Swim block or whatever in 2016. It has no dialogue, kind of a very early version of what we later see in Scavengers Reign. This was originally in 2018. They tried to expand this story because they know it aired on Toonami and make it into a series, but it did not get picked up by Adult Swim. It then got picked up by Max, which seems like this and Fired on Mars have a similar trajectory, as well as shows that you're confused why they didn't force them to go on Adult Swim and how they ended up on Max, and they're both space exploration shows. That's so weird to me. I just don't. There are certain things that are different. I do think the design is a lot rougher than the more refined design of Scavengers Reign. It's a little more sketchier, things of that nature. It's a little less defined in terms of that, but it's effectively like the same thing. You'll notice like certain elements in there, as well as things that are different. One thing is the ship is not called the Demeter, it's called the Vesta 1 on this. And in this, it seems to be like they were supposed to colonize this planet. Something happened to the ship and they're on the planet. So it's a little different from in the show where the ship is like, we don't fully know, but it was hit, we assume was hit by a solar flare and just wound up on this planet on the way to something else. It is very trippy, like the show and stuff like that, but there's no dialogue, but we see two people who seem to be rough versions of the characters of Ursula and Sam. We don't get anybody else, just those two, and we see them like kind of go through this planet and deal with this world and deal with this like kind of the weird plants on there. We even have them deal with the little alien in the plant that I think Ursula sees in Scavengers Reign and does this kind of beautiful thing. In this, like we see the same weird alien guy, but they just give them like sort of a gem, and we see them trying to go on some mission to basically find, like, Scavengers Reign is very good at being like very strange and weird and surprising, which is something I really like about it. But this is truly interesting because she's two people who are stuck on this planet and they go through this journey, which you assume is for food, but isn't really for food. It's just so they can like find this weird like space like stingray basically. You see them be able to get like this weird stuff and then ended up like just sort of like tripping on this weird juice that makes them feel like they're back on Earth again. And I think that's like kind of the sadness of the desperation of space and stuff like that. But I like that there's a point to it. I like there's no dialogue, and I like all the various creatures. There's this weird head, an alien that's basically like a head and legs, and that's like it. And it is that is really weird. There's a lot of like strangers with the plants, with the this. It was very out there, and I really like that about it. It does very much play like an interesting pilot, an interesting short film. Some of it, they would be used with K-Man later, some with this, some with that. But I think it shows people who are willing to show a surprising way of an alien world. Like a constant like reinventing the rules. Like, why have a weird stingray in the sky? Why have a weird alien head thing? It's like, I think what I like about Scavengers Reign in this world is it's always surprising, which I think this short film definitely has within it. And I don't think there's a way you can tell this story without being as surprising. I think it works better that way. I like this short. I think if you watch the show, it works. But I think if you haven't watched the show, it's still a really interesting, impressive science fiction short. And I think what I like about this franchise in total is it's a sci-fi thing that surprises me, is extra human, but also incredibly surreal in ways that I thought sci-fi had given up on, to do more of like this dark, broody, I can't see anything phase. This is like you can see everything, but you know nothing about this alien world that will come up and infect you and change you with the plant life that you don't fully understand. And I think Scavengers takes on that kind of that world and that view and kind of introduces you in the way and shows you, much like a good pilot would, that there could be more to this. But it also, I think, works as just like an interesting, odd, sort of jam drawing-y short film. So even if you just thought what I said or seeing this footage at the same time, and think that looks cool, and you are not fully sold on watching a full show of Scavengers Reign, it can work as just an individual short. And I think it says about like kind of the survival of man and how he simply gets through the day, even if you're dealing with all the craziness of an alien world that you don't fully understand. Everything's changing around you, and you can't fully control what's going to happen.